So we'll start from the first one. Like, Eric, how did you get into tea?
Hi, so I'm not sure entirely. I've been drinking Yorkshire Gold tea bags from 12 years old, maybe 13. And I would go to these international grocery stores and markets, and I'd look at other tea bags. And I was starting to really get into the different types of tea bags. When one day my aunt came to me, she's been going to Taiwan for business a lot, and she gave me a loose leaf alisan. And pretty much from there, I was pretty hooked on loose leaf tea. She actually drinks the same tea now, uh, the same exact farmer. So I'm pretty much indebted to her for starting my tea life. Once from there, I started ordering, little samples from Upton Tea Company, Upton Tea Imports,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what is my good cuppa that I like, and it just sort of grew from there.
Is Upton tea imported for the US market?
Yes, they're in, I believe, Massachusetts, and they have a lot of teas, and you can get really small sample sizes. And there's a lot of places, and they have actually Korean tea too.
Oh, okay.
So they have a lot of different samples a lot of different teas you can buy a lot of or a little bit of. So it's just kind of feeling out where in the tea world I fit.
For the packet size, how small it is, like 10 gram? That's small?
It's either 10 or like 15, something like that.
Oh, so it is
Yes,
actually a really small packet. That's a nice
yeah,
way
yeah,
to try tea.
yeah. It's very convenient, and it's a good way it's a good way for me to start figuring out because there's a lot of tea everywhere,
Yeah.
a lot of teas.
Do you live near your aunt? Do you do like virtual tea tasting with your tea with your aunt?
She's very busy all the time. She used to live here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I live. She has since moved out for work. But yeah, we do connect over tea a lot.
And then how did you know about Korean tea? Like, was there someone who introduced it to you, like your aunt introduced loose leaf tea?
No, I mean, I was getting, so I'm pretty sure at my first Korean tea was a green tea from Upton Tea Imports. And then I was just Googling around everything that I tasted, trying to feel what is this tea. I was doing a lot of research in my early career, and I found a blog, and this blog was talking about Korean tea, and I was able to reach out he shared some tea with me, and it was wow. There's a lot more than just Korean green teas, and that's how I started. Is this blog, um, who morning Korean tea, morning Earth Korea. I don't
Oh,
morningearthkorea.org. Yeah, so um, I really delved into that, and that blogger I reached out. He was actually at the time forming tea tours to South Korea, and that was a big boost because it really changed my life.
also morning Korean tea arranged the tea tour to South Korea.
Yes, this was back in 2011, and I think they did a few of them.
Nice.
Yeah, this was a while ago.
How long, like how many days were the trip? Like
Oh, so it was a very fast trip. And I think it was 12, 13 days. There was a lot to cover, and it was fast paced, but it was well done. There was not much haste, if I remember. But we got a lot of places. Gimhae, Bosong, Hadong, and it was the owner, the organizer was is a potter, and he was a potter by profession. He was a professor at a university, and so we got to meet some very amazing teaware potters. It wasn't just a tea tour; it was a tea and teaware tour, and that had a big impact on the types of teawares I use today and how I steep today.
Yeah.
Because different teawares have different ways of steeping, just require a certain type of technique.
Yeah, I usually use glassware because I like to see tea infusion going on. But then nowadays I'm slowly getting into teaware because when I brew tea, it makes big difference. Like the way I brew tea, the way I do tea, the way I appreciate tea. So I'm
Mhm.
crossing that dangerous line to going in. Yeah, because
It's dangerous and it's a rabbit hole.
yeah, it's like when I kind of feel like first time I tasted pour, and then like I slowly like the taste of like Shan and Shio, and then going into like a dark tea, cause like that's like a different games. That's nowadays how I'm feeling about tea wares. Like for Japanese tea, there's like specific tea wares, and for Korean tea, also Korean tea wares, and then like kombucha, obviously. Yeah.
I am guilty of mixing those teawares with each other's country's teas.
Oh, same.
But yeah, I don't think it's a universal passport.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
lot of good teaware out there that's hard to find and very good, and some are very much better than you think.
yeah, because I would love to have like keyword specifically matching the country, but at this moment, not really. So I'm kind of mixing it around, but I'm slowly getting into I want to properly have the keywords, but we will see.
Yeah, just be careful because you get too many and then some are being neglected.
Yeah, and even if you don't have too many, like one can be very pricey too. And if you don't be careful, I tend to be clumsy, so I tend to like break my keywords, which I never hope to happen. Yeah, but it happens sometimes. I
Yeah,
I, I broke a couple of ones, so now I use practice one. This I use practice one. Then my
yeah.
then I got gifted from my that I received as a gift from a friend.
Hmm.
Do you
It
have?
always seems to be the lid that breaks too.
Oh, sorry, I missed. We.
Oh, it always seems to be the lid that breaks of the guy one, never the bowl.
Oh, really? Oh, last
For
time
me,
somehow this side got broke. Oh, I'm losing
oh
my face from my screen. Yeah, so I like scrubbed it out to smooth it out, but then I ended up not being able to use it.
yeah.
But this, I have this one for now. Do you have any Korean teaware though?
Yes, I use one all the time. This is
Oh,
a it's Anagama fire, so it's ash glaze,
yeah.
and it's got a little. I'm not sure what this is. A dragon, a hedgehog, a fish, but it works really well with balhyocha, like really well. So I have some other things that are glazed. Um, all most of which I got there and at the teaware from the potters. So they all have a little more meaning to me than
Yeah.
some other teawares. Good memories.
Did you get the teapot during your trip or later?
Yes, yes. Directly there from the potter.
Oh, that looks so good. Yeah.
Uh,
When you say balhyocha, how do you define your balhyocha?
just that's a tough question
Yeah.
because really I just see it as oxidized tea. All it really means is fermented or oxidized tea, and because you can't, unlike Chinese terms where they focus on a oolong is an oolong because of the way it's processed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different ways to process balhyocha in Korea. Some are very interesting, and some are nowhere near close to each other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I could even call it an oolong, but I wouldn't call it a black tea either. So it kind of bridges the line of both.
Yeah.
But basically, I just think it's an oxidized tea, Korean tea.
Yeah. Because there is no really like standard ways, and there are many definitions too. We have workshop coming up this afternoon with Nicole. She'll be talking about balhyocha, so I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, but yeah, it can be like confusing. Even as a Korean, like when I look through like Korean tea and then like how do I classify this tea into the tea? And like, what is it called? Why are there so many terms for the same tea? Like, this is like A, and then I thought it was like A apostrophe, but actually it was A. Like, yeah. So I'm studying as well.
Yeah, it's like teaware. It's a rabbit hole,
No.
and I just end up saying, it's just not green tea. It's not dokcha, but
Yeah.
that's a whole nother situation.
So you don't add so dokcha. You don't add dokcha into balhyocha? No.
No, I mean, I consider it more medicine, more medicinal, because it
Dokcha.
is. I mean, to my understanding, it's green tea that's just been pounded, smashed and pounded into like a little disc.
Yeah,
It's
and then
not processed like a balhyocha, not
yeah.
oxidized. Yeah.
What do you miss the most about Korean tea trips?
The smells.
The
It's a little
smell.
weird to say. The smell of the tea, the smell of the tea processing, the food, obviously,
Yeah.
and especially the pottery uh, studios. They have the Korean ones had a certain scent that you wouldn't be able to duplicate. I don't know if it's the actual clay,
Okay.
but the smell memory is more personal to me,
Yeah.
and it kind of puts you in a certain place.
Yes.
Like I sometimes smell a Korean green tea, and I think I know what that is.
Okay.
I know where that is, and that's one thing I wish I could do more. Yeah. Whereas other places, it's beautiful visually. South Korea is beautiful visually, certainly, but the thing that stood out the most was the smells, and the trip was a lot of good fun with people.
Yeah,
A
I
lot of
bet.
good fun.
Could you describe the smell? Was it more like when the leaves are withering? Like what was that smell like? Orchid, floral, fruity, grassy? How would you define? How would you describe?
It's how would I describe it? It's like a pan-fired green tea, maybe something more like a daejak rather
Yeah.
than ujan, and just imagine that being with a lot of moisture, not the wet leaves, the dry leaves with like humidity in the air, and that's the being around the processing, because we did a lot of picking, not a lot. We did some backbreaking work, and we helped with the processing and the pans and the walks, and that smell was amazing, and the kneading, and that was it was like a humid daejak, I'd say.
Human deject?
Humid.
Humid. Humid
Yeah.
deject. For anyone who doesn't know about dejak, it's a grade of Korean green tea. So like ujan's made with little bud, but dejak is more like harvested after mid-spring.
Mid-spring.
Yeah. So it uses larger leaves. And for people who have no idea what Eric's describing, when the borders open, we can all go to Korea and experience.
Yeah. I really hope to go back for a month and
Yeah.
then really get into depth and go
Same.
back to some of those teaware places, because they would make tea in their teaware, and that's actually how I got introduced to balhyocha. The first time I had it was in this Park Jung-il's teaware. He made some,
Yeah.
and I was like, "What is that?" because I hadn't tried balhyocha yet,
Yeah.
and so on the trip. A lot of times I'm introduced to the teas there in the area where they're making it, and I'll always remember him making that tea in
So
his
just
teaware.
to clarify, they make tea and teaware?
No, he was using his friend's tea.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was showing that we can make tea in this, and we're all tasting from his teaware.
So he was
Yeah.
kind of showing how to use teaware to brew tea, and then you got into
How to use his teaware, yes.
Okay, makes sense. Which tea are you enjoying nowadays? Which Korean tea are you enjoying nowadays?
I have a specific liking for a balhyocha called almonicha, grandmother tea,
Yeah.
and it's made by, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, Jung Jae-yeon.
Jeonjae-young?
Yeah, and she calls it almonicha because her grandmother taught her how to do this processing. And I buy a lot of it, and I'm actually currently I've got very little left, but I'm making it here now.
Oh, lovely. We would love to see it. Where is the region?
Sorry?
Where is the Harmony Cha's tea leaves harvested?
I'm pretty sure it's in Hadong. I'm not exactly sure
Okay.
where. Yeah, but that's the only tea she makes. She doesn't make green teas. She takes a bunch of grades of like Sejak and Jungjak and Daejak and makes almond cha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if this can capture the leaves very well. It's one of the darker
Yeah, it looks
tea balhyocha.
it looks dark.
Yeah, it is pretty dark. The leaves are specifically dark compared to others. So I don't know. I might just go ahead and steep now.
Yep.
I don't mind.
Is it possible for us to look at it?
The steep?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually am using glass pitcher here.
Okay.
I don't normally use glass pitchers. Specifically with this because I have a pitcher with from the spotter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll hold it up once it's done in a few seconds.
Thank you. Meanwhile, I will steep my ujan one more time. I feel like I'm AI right now. I'm losing myself. Oh, look at that.
So it is a darker leaf, but it is a lighter liquor. It is a lighter soup. So
Yes.
there is a lot of balhyocha that is certainly darker than this.
Yeah, that felt like less than a minute. Did you steep like 30 seconds?
About 30 seconds.
Oh.
Oh, and I use boiling water too.
No.
Yeah.
Is it
I use boiling water for a lot. Is it mellow? Yes, it's certainly not pungent in any way. It's really hard actually to over steep this tea. It doesn't really get astringent or bitter. It just gets stronger and stronger.
It looked mellow and malty, like a sweetness at the end.
It is certainly sweet, and I understand the maltiness. Yes, that does happen. A little bit. There are certainly other teas I would call more malty. I'm really not good at describing what teas taste like. But it's very smooth and very smooth in the mouth.
Where did you get that tea from? And for people who want to try Harmony tea, what's the best way?
I got this from the blogger I met who did the tea tour. He's been doing like a Korean pre-order.
Yeah.
For 15, I think this is his 15th or 16th year doing it.
Yeah.
I've been doing it every year since 2011, and things have gotten more and more intense. His current website is Tea by Korea at blogspot.com, and it's a pre-order. I think it ends soon. I'm not sure when exactly ends by this air, but by the time this airs, it might be over. But he normally does a second tea buy as in the second part of the year with other teas similar to this. But I normally get at least 300 grams of this a year, and I go through it pretty quickly. It's a really good tea.
Yeah. I'll share the link with people. If you check the Tea by Korea by Arthur Park, he offers great tea, really affordable prices. He does it for his volunteer times, and it's a great way to get into Korean teas, especially if you're in the US. Does it ship to Canada too?
He can ship. He has customers in Germany, in Australia. He's got customers all over the world. So it'll be shipping from, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, he ships all over the world. And it's either coming straight from Korea or it's coming from the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Where do you learn about Korean teas? Like, is there other than Tea by Korea, it's a great blog. Like, how do you learn? Like, where do you get your resources from? Because outside, other than reading something in Korean, like even as a Korean, there are not many like resources available publicly. I find that it's more for like scholars who's like educational and university type, not about like for general public. So for a foreigner, I assume it's even harder. So like for you, like how do you do it?
There are some other blogs. I would certainly recommend Brother Anthony's blog. Brother Anthony of Taizé. He's he's British monk living in Seoul, and he has some good blogs, good articles. There's also a few books that I highly recommend. One he participated in. Maybe I can send a link of the titles. They kind of elude me right now.
Yeah. I think I kind of know The Way of Korean.
Yes, The Korean Way of Tea. I believe that's it.
Korean Way of, I think I actually saw that book at the Korean Museum, National Korean. I have a picture. I will go check my picture.
I've got the book in the other room.
Bring it out, show us.
Look at it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not sure whether I remember the title correctly, but I read it at the museum.
Yeah, The Korean Way of Tea, an introductory guide.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and this is very good, very simple. It's an introduction. And a lot of things, I feel, unfortunately, they don't have the Hangul in these, which is a little disappointing, but it's really well done.
Yeah.
We've got, oh, I've met this farmer here.
Oh, it's a funny picture. And then, oh, I met it. That's cool.
And it's got some tea poems too.
Yes.
Yeah, poems from tea. And there's some good books that are a lot of just tea poetry that have been translated into English. I know there's one specifically, and there's some good poetry out there.
Oh, I need to look into it. Usually I read it and then, oh, that's good. And then kind of forget. So I need to discover more.
Yeah, and remind yourself. I have to remind myself of information all the time. My memory is not what it used to be.
I think we covered all the questions.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't have them in front of me.
I checked it.
Okay, good.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me. Can I just say that all tea is intimidating at first.
Yeah.
And if you just start, which is the hardest part, and if you can try maybe not as much tea as possible, but trying to focus on at least a few teas as much as you can, you will learn a lot just from even one type of tea if you just focus.
That's a good tip. Yeah, so when you focus one tea at once, you don't overwhelm yourself. You tend to enjoy more and appreciate more. You end up cherishing the tea leaves.
Yes, and you can learn even if you're focusing, you can learn a lot more just by focusing and realizing what a tea does and what it does to you. Some teas affect my mood. So,
Definitely.
mhm.
It's almost like having the meditative and then also conversation with the tea leaves. Oh, I like it.
Well, that is a good having a conversation. I like that.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.